Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where fantasy and fun come to life. Hit it, guys. If you're watching this video, it means you've been selected as Freddy's newest security guard.
Hello?
We're going to have so much fun together.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
You will suffer an eternity for this!
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Welcome back to Zero.Point Reviews, everybody. We like to talk about the good, the bad, and then we like to judge our films, and we judge each other. And you can judge us too, and we're going to judge you right back. This time, we're doing Five Nights at Freddy's. Yes, this is still Henson month for us, however. Henson did do the animatronics on this, and we thought it would be appropriate to do something a little on the newer side that they were involved with, but not entirely their own. So I thought this would be a good, fun movie to do. Kevin, I think this was your first time watching this. You want to give us an idea on what you think about it, or did you know about the video games before this? Where were you at with Five Nights?
So I had followed the previews for the movie because I had that morbid curiosity. You know, I love stuff like this. I played the video game on my cell phone.
Oh, cool.
Oh gosh, 3 years ago. And I got to the second night. And I didn't find the appeal of the game. It's not that fun. It's really not a fun game at all. Have you played it before?
I have not played the game before. Yeah, I have not played the game before, but I have watched like what they call on YouTube are Let's Play video games, where there's some like YouTubers like say Markiplier, Jacksepticeye. There's a whole slew of them that they play the video games and they're kind of in the bottom little corner while they play through a game. And this was like my introduction to like Let's Play videos. And I know some video gamers aren't big on those, but it's another way to be able to at least watch and enjoy a game, possibly. Sure. Well, somebody else does all the hard work. But at least educated me on like, hey, this is Five Nights at Freddy's. This is this video game. And it's just fun to watch some of the gamers like totally freak out for certain things. And it gives you enough of the story to follow along. Now, I didn't remember much of those, but that's how I got familiar with the game, largely through my wife, who wanted to watch Let's Play videos with Markiplier and like Jacksepticeye. And so that's about my knowledge on Five Nights at Freddy's, other than when this movie was announced, my wife was like, I want to see it. I'm like, really? You don't like horror movies and you don't like bloody and whatnot with the horror movies? And she's like, yeah, but I want to see it because I enjoyed the games and I'll never play the games myself. And I was like, all right, we'll go. Because it was right around our birthday time in October of that year. So we made our way and saw it at the theaters first night. And it was dope crowd. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast with it. I have it on 4K. I think I moved it somewhere else in here. Yep, that's right over there. And we just watched that the other night and had a blast watching it again. I think I'm going to say that's going to play into a point I'm going to have a little bit later on in our review.
Nice. Very nice.
But it looks great. Just short and quick on the 4K. Beautiful 4K. Looks fantastic on a 4K TV. And you got the surround sound system rocking. It's a good one to have in the collection.
Oh, I bet it sounds pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And the music that they used for it, albeit repetitive, was really good.
I love the secrets that you keep.
We can only afford one licensed song.
Well, they spent like $25 million on this movie, so, and I would feel like a lot of that went basically towards the animatronics and the special effects.
Yes.
It's also Blumhouse too, so I don't know how much that really went to the special effects and everything, and not to somebody's pocket. But
oh well, Jason Blum's.
hey, he had a video game to play too.
Yeah, I know. But the lead puppeteer, I believe, was Russ Walco.
I believe so.
And yeah, and he is Grant's best friend and one of the finest puppeteers out there. Like he's awesome. He's awesome sauce to like know. He's awesome sauce to work with. So like top notch to the puppeteers on this movie. Anyway, well,
I see you hesitating there. Yep, you probably have opinions here.
I do. This was an interesting flick. It was an interesting flick. Because I've seen this before when it was not Five Nights at Freddy's. It was another picture because they've made this movie twice because they couldn't get the licensing rights. Well, no, it wasn't the licensing rights. It was Warner Brothers couldn't get their shit together. And then they lost the rights to Blumhouse, didn't they? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think it was like a 2015-ish when I think Warner Brother announced that they had it. I might be wrong. It might be 2016 or 2014. It just kind of feels right around about that time.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, Warner Brothers couldn't get their crap together on this one, but they can get together a Mortal Kombat game movie adaptation, no problem. I don't know what half the problem is on that, but yeah, they eventually like kind of kicked it to the curb, and it ended up just going over to Blumhouse. I'm pretty sure about that. Even Christopher Columbus was involved with this movie at one point.
Yes, which would have been a fun thing, sort of. Like most of Gremlins was really fun.
Yeah, you got somebody with some decent talent and experience that it could guide this movie and franchise in one way or another. For better or worse, he was no longer involved with this at the final stage, but that is okay. Now, before we get started on the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the judgment, everybody, make sure you hit the like button down below. Make sure you also subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can stay tuned to all of our video content, and also share us out there. Comment down below, comment in the chat. We are live and we are very interested in integrating you all into the show, so please take part. All right, Kevin, gonna kick it off with you. Tell me one of the things you liked about this movie.
God, I love scary looking creatures, and these things are decayed and they're archaic looking. We are Gen X. We remember Showtime, Showbiz Pizza Theater, and Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yep,
and
that's what we had, Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep, the PTSD that shit brought. Because it was the coolest place to go to because it had pizza, horrible pizza, but all the arcade games you could possibly fucking think of. Yeah, but apparently the new ones are pretty good, which is really weird. Like it's Dave and Buster's quality apparently, and I'm like, I am suspicious. Anyway, Dave and Buster's became everything we would have wanted out of Chuck E. Cheese's as a kid, including the alcohol. It was amazing.
Goddamn right. As kids, we all wanted like the better food, the better games, the better pizza, the better overall experience. But I wouldn't replace any of those memories if you made me, because that's what we grew up with. That's what we had available, and we just made the best of it. And I remember all of my friends and I just having a good old fun time and looking at like Chuck E. Cheese, being like, "Man, that's some goofy ass shit over there. Hey, ooh, pinball."
Superman red and Superman blue. Woohoo!
Yeah, and some of the arcades that would be occasionally working, sometimes broken, oftentimes broken, should I say, because joysticks are snapped off or they were powered down with a big old out of order sign on it for whatever reason. So
yes, somebody dropped their Slurpee in the roller, the ball for asteroids.
dude, of course. I also have to admit, like, I think the last time I went to a Chuck E. Cheese was for I think it was for previous girlfriend's like kid's birthday or somebody else's like kid's birthday, probably about 2009, I want to say. And the food was terrible, but I had fun playing all the video games.
Oh, I bet. Now, were they still taking quarters or tokens at that point, or was it swipe card?
Quarters for the arcades, tokens for the all the other ancillary games like the basketball, the skeet ball, and everything else. I love
say
skeet
that
ball.
on television.
Nobody's fucking. I don't care. We're 11 minutes in. We can start swearing, Kevin.
Somebody's fucking. That's why it's skeet ball.
Gotcha. Just funnel those balls and aim for the right hole. That's all you have to do in that game. And you got to throw pretty hard to get it in there.
Did they have skee ball in this movie? I didn't notice.
No, I don't think so. I just make jokes.
But so yeah, getting back to stuff that that was really good in this, the production, the set itself was amazing. They spared no expense at making the set look exactly the same way as the video game did. But I remembered playing enough of the game, I remembered enough from playing the game that the security office looked pretty much the same. Going back and watching the playthrough again today, just for the first game, because it's 40 minutes at best, I think.
Yeah, it's a short game.
Yeah. Like they did a really good job. But golly, they had to add a lot of extra stuff to make this a 2-hour movie, though.
Was this too? It didn't feel like a 2-hour movie to me.
It was like 149.
Yeah, an hour and 49 minutes.
I saw that and went, shit, 2 hours? Really? All right. Well, let's see what we're in for.
Well, to that kind of point, I would say it was actually pretty well paced. It did not feel like an hour and 49 minutes to me or my wife when we watched it the other night. Because to me, it's like, oh, hey, we started, and like an hour and maybe 15 minutes later, I'm like, hey, the movie's over with. And I wasn't paying attention to time because we had a live stream happening at like, say, 10 o'clock, and we were done by like 9. I'm like, oh, I got some time to. So I didn't even realize the time.
I got something.
But it flows pretty well. So they had a pretty good editor on staff. I want to say Andrew Westman, and there was like 2 of them, but really good editing, and they kept the story nice and flowing throughout. So the pacing I felt really helped with this movie. Didn't drag too much. There's a time or two when it does feel like it's draggy when they're getting into some of the exposition with like some of the more supernaturalistic elements of the story, so to speak.
Yeah.
With like the mysterious 5 kids and what's going on and this, that, and the other. But it doesn't slow it down too bad. It feels very well paced out. So you never feels like you're bored, and continually feels like we're building towards something instead of, oh, hey, we're on Act 3. Are we going to finally get some answers around here?
I'm gonna disagree. I felt like this movie was a good half hour too long, but I will agree with you in this. The placements, the pacing placements of where certain things happen did happen perfectly. So, like, to your point, when the exposition of what's happening supernatural wise, who these kids are, what the relevance of Abby's friends, make-believe friends are, once you see all that, it's all like an aha moment. It feels very organic. It's not finally, oh, okay, or it's not been so long that you forgot about that. So for its pace, like percentage wise, I guess it does work out pretty well. But golly, did this movie go on for me because there was so much extra, and I was just kind of like, okay, wait, now there's ghosts.
Okay. Well, was this was your first time watching this movie, though, right?
Yes.
That I can understand it. This is probably our third or fourth watch through, and to the credit of the movie, repeated viewings. Once you're not having to continually to your point, I can see what you're talking about, because even I felt that a little bit the first, like when we saw it in the theater, it did feel a bit long, but on multiple rewatches, it starts to feel a bit more coherent and accessible. So the narrative does push forward and it does smooth out a bit. So if you were to watch this a second or possibly a third time, I think by the time you got to probably the third time, you might feel like, okay, this is fine now, but it does take, and this is because we're uninitiated to like the whole lore of the games and all the books that are out there. And we got to catch up with like everybody else because Boomer over here, I don't play these games. I'm not interested, but the story is interesting. And I bought all the books for my wife for her birthday last year. So
really
good deal on eBay for a bunch of them.
And Amy and I kind of like the same kind of book. So I'm kind of like, should I read that too?
Some are pretty dark and graphic. Some are pretty quick and easy reads. She said for some of the books, she could burn through like 3 or 4 of them in a day.
Nice.
Because they're intended for a teen audience. But some of them, she said, they're actually pretty gnarly for what's supposed to be a teen book as far as describing violence and creepy things.
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, even this movie, for a tweeny movie, has its violent points. Like there were some kills where you're just kind of like, "Woo, that was messy." Like if they would have done that in like practical effects, that would have been fun to clean.
No kidding. Well, I love all of that in general. I do have some complaints about some of it though, and we'll get to that when we hit the bad, but man, the design on a lot of these things, like when they were showing the little whirring and all the machines on the inside of the mask as it's coming towards a face, it was just like, oh my god, it's like electric cheese grater coming at your face.
Completely unnecessary, but I like it.
Yeah, it totally gave you a better impression of like tension and oh shit, this is gonna be one of those kind of movies. Without it ever really getting to there.
Yes, it didn't. It didn't. That's very important to point out, because parents who are on the fence about letting their kids watch this, I'm about to make it sound like it starts out kind of like Silent Night. Or Saw, something like that. But it's not remotely that graphic at all. And what blood there is completely CGI.
Well, it was like a PG-13 movie, so if
it?
you're wondering if it's accessible to a bigger audience, absolutely. It's not that gory at all.
Yeah, no.
There's enough in it to like whet the appetites for everybody, but on its budget, it made almost like 300 million. So
yeah, it made 80 million on its opening day. 80 million. Fudge.
There were a few of those dollars.
I was not.
They did not have a popcorn bucket, so I'm sorry I could not bring that out and have Kevin explain to us how we are supposed to screw said bucket.
Carefully as shit.
No kidding. There might be like little clamps inside or spring-loaded things.
It's spring shanked for his pleasure. God damn.
Totally ribbed for his. But, you know. Oh, go ahead.
What did you think of the casting in this?
The casting I thought was pretty interesting. What's his name? Josh, whatever his name is. He was in the Hunger Games, which yes, I have seen those. He was fine. I had more fun with God, what was her name? Elizabeth Law and Mary Stuart Masterson. Because Mary Stuart Masterson, I loved her in Some Kind of Wonderful from like so many years ago. She had her hair chopped off, so it's almost like the Beverly D'Angelo in Violent Night from what you would know her from originally. This was almost the same thing for me with Mary Stuart Masterson, where I remember her as this sweet, beautiful, awesome thing, and then she turns into this crazy fucking ant. And that's totally trying to, oh, if they have to disappear, that's fine. I just want the check from the state, sort of deal. But with Elizabeth Law, people would remember her from the TV show You, that's on Netflix, and she was fantastic. I think she's pretty cute too.
Yeah. There's no denying that. I did so much so that I did not buy her as a police officer. She was such a fun character. She should have been anything else but a cop.
Well, you can kind of see how they're using that to their advantage. Like, she's mostly just a cop just to help keep the cover story of Freddy Fazbear's.
Yes. And
because she actually goes against the reveal of the yellow rabbit by telling the person with the yellow rabbit. We can get to spoilers whenever, I don't care, but
yeah,
there's a whole plot to that specifically of you're supposed to kill them if they get too close to the truth. And it's like she couldn't do it. She ended up liking Abby, and she liked everybody too much, and she kind of opened up her heart and let him in, and she's like, I can't do this no more. So there actually is character development in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm pulling teeth with Kevin this time.
No, there's character development with Vanessa and the aunt. The aunt kind of is like, well, I guess so. I don't need the money that much.
Whether she still lives or not is another question, though.
Did she get killed?
She went poof. She vanished.
Oh, that's right, because they went to go get Abby.
Yep.
That's right.
Now, what did you think of Matthew Lillard, though?
He saved the movie for me. Had he not been in this, I probably wouldn't have liked this movie at all. But I thought he was a good actor in it. Like, he was a good character. Like, he's a great character actor in general. He's never been bad in anything in his entire career. So I was really excited to see him in this. I was really sad to know beforehand, like everyone else, that he was the bad guy. But golly, I really liked him. I thought he did a great job. I thought he was perfectly wicked. In the costume, he looked awesome, like wickedly awesome. When he took the helmet off, it looked so natural with his wickedness. Like 30 years later, after fucking Scream, he still has that crazy fucking look to him. And at the beginning of the film, he has that sweet look that you see him having genuinely and sincerely with people at Comic Cons and stuff like that. So it was really neat to see him have that switch of character, and it happened so very, very quickly at the end.
He's a pretty good actor. I was pretty pleased with his performance, and even the first time around, I'm like, watching it in the theaters, I'm like, why does he seem familiar? It didn't register for me because clearly I wasn't paying attention to opening credits or anything. But once the final credits started and I saw his name, I'm like, no shit, that's the guy from, I know everybody's going to scream, no, say Scream. I remembered him from Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah. Fucking Shaggy.
Shaggy 2 dope, baby. But no, I've always liked him, and he was probably the only way I could stomach any of the Scream movies. And I've only ever seen like the first I've seen the first 3. I didn't like
the third one because I'm in it.
Yeah.
I needed to have the complete collection of Kevin Smith movies or Jay and Silent Bob movies. So I added Scream 3. Anyway, yeah.
But
I have no shame.
No, you have no shame. I got no shame either because I totally was a sucker for the animatronics in this movie. Absolutely love what Henson did here. I thought bringing them on was just kind of maybe, hey, let's just bring on a big name and maybe they'll help us out a little bit here or there. As far as I'm concerned, they went above and beyond the Call of Duty. They did a fantastic job with all the full animatronics to the half suit, half animatronics to full suit animatronics, and you got like 6 people working different controls just to operate like the eyes, the ears, the facial tics and whatnot. Because that ends up looking amazing. Absolutely. That really helped this movie as opposed to, say, Willy's Wonderland, which for years ago, they did a pretty good job, but they also had to use a lot more CGI. In this, they were very sparse with the use of CGI. It was almost all practical. Clearly, there is CGI, though, but they did a very good job sticking practical as much as they could.
Willy's didn't use so much CGI as much as they did editing.
Well, I seem to remember a couple of the creatures in Willy's Wonderland with their full movements just being pure CGI.
Like Willy?
Well, like the snake.
Willy himself or like the gorilla?
Maybe it was the gorilla.
Oh. You know what you're thinking of is the pixie chick. And she's a contortionist.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, it was kind of like a snake, no, but that was
Yeah, Sarah, whatever her name was. She's a contortionist. That's what that was.
Okay. But anyway,
Penelope, you're in this.
Penelope. Now, did you? Oh God, Kevin. Did you end up liking the story at all?
No.
What did you think?
Oh God, you know what though? So yes and no. Golly, I felt so bored at a point, but then I was like engaged at the same time. This is a very 80s stereotypical story of a child kidnapping. And you grew up in the 80s just like I did. We were both young. Like that was a huge epidemic in the 70s and 80s with kidnappings, child murders, child molestations, missing posters, faces on milk boxes and stuff like that. Our generation started the faces on milk boxes.
Yep.
So it felt familiar, it felt real, but at the same time, it was also very predictable where it was going to go. Like, oh, hey, by the way, the guy that fucking owns this place also happens to be the guy that kidnapped and killed your brother. But it works out because, he recognized the guy's name or the kid's name. So, which
kind of get you working over there.
Yeah, that I kind of caught. Like his attitude towards him went from apathy to no, really. Why don't you check this place out? You think you'd like it?
Yeah, gotta get even. Gotta run up the school.
Finish out the bloodline, and keep the investigation done. So I mean, I respected that part of the villainy. That part of the story all worked out pretty darn well, but.
He's a completionist.
What was I really expecting is what I had to ask myself, because here's a movie about a video game that's 40 minutes long of turning this light on, this light on, this light off, this light on, this light off, this light on, this light off.
Goes this door.
It's boring as fuck. It's not scary. Like, go play Fatal Frame. That's a scary game. Or some VR tragedy that's going to fucking destroy your inner soul. But whatever. This was not scary for me, but I don't know what to expect. So they had to make this story up. I don't know what kind of story I would have wanted otherwise. I can't say it was bad, but it just got weird when you got to the ghost kids. I was kind of like, well, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Willie's had ghost pedophiles. That worked out. I bought that.
Yeah.
Now we've got ghost kids that are slaves.
Correct.
Yes. Or
very big difference.
Yeah, they're one, enslaved, and two, they're being lied to. That's what it is. They're being told that the yellow rabbit is their friend.
Yep. And then by the course of Abby redrawing a picture and putting it up on the wall, they then re-understood like what was really going on and what really happened. And that was the end of that train. Train's over, bitch.
Yeah, and I didn't dislike that. I really didn't.
Well, it's a good use of using Abby as a pivotal character in the movie. Like, she can only be like the one person who has to be rescued so many times before she actually has to play some sort of a role. And I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, it makes her kind of like Annie in Evil Dead 2, where she's reading the Necronomicon and opens the portal. Ash isn't saving her, she's saving Ash at that point.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Very good. And anything else that's good, Kevin?
The little cupcake thing. Golly, I thought that was fucking cool.
That's why I put that in the intro at the beginning. I'm like, I had to throw it in there.
I almost used it for the little thing up there on the logo.
Oh, that would have been okay too. Was that your favorite of the puppets, by the way?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah, mine too, actually.
It was just the fiercest looking thing, even more so than Foxy, because like Foxy's scary all the time, but this thing was like the fizz gig. Like it opened its mouth and showed them rows and rows of crite teeth, and scared the shit out of you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like the cupcake. That was pretty rad. First time I saw that, I just had like Killer Clowns from Outer Space vibes with it. I'm like, yes, more of this, please.
More of this, please. Now, if it only would have actually had frosting on its head, that would have been cool.
Oh, that would have been kind of funny, like the frosting going everywhere while everybody's bleeding out underneath while he's like eating or chomping at them. That actually would have been pretty rad.
I'm a sick bastard, I know.
Yep, so am I. But no, there's some good aspects to this movie, but with all movies, Kevin, we do need to talk about the bad.
Let's hit it, because there's plenty.
And you mind if I kick us off on this one?
Of course.
This movie's not gory. And it's not scary. It's not any of that shit. I feel like that's very much the biggest problem with this movie, outside of some script problems, because there are some issues with the plot I have. But my big problem is this isn't scary in the slightest. And it's not much of a horror movie at all. I actually feel like it's pretty tame and pretty weak in that aspect.
No.
Doesn't mean I don't enjoy the movie. It just means like this movie does feel like it's missing its teeth.
Pun!
Boom, baby.
I don't know. Okay, so you know how I like the prophecy, but my big thing about the prophecy is they mix the Catholic religion with the fucking Native American religions, and you're just kind of like, oh, wait a second. That has to mean one of them is right, which means one of them is wrong.
Yeah.
This movie was kind of like that, where it mixes scary and not so scary, and you're just kind of like, okay, I've got ghosts and murderous robots. What's it going to be? Is it going to be ghosts or is it going to be murderous robots?
Oh, it's both. Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Once it got to the point where they were like all partying together and shit, you were completely removed from any sense of tension that this movie is supposed to be bringing to you in a horror or sense of horror. And it's not that the scene is bad. The scene's very good, actually.
It's excellent. Yeah.
Interesting. That's where the movie starts getting interesting, where you stop rolling your eyes because they're attacking things and you're like, okay, why aren't they attacking? Then the movie's got your attention.
Yes.
But it removes you from that sense of horror.
It takes you out of the moment a little too much.
Yeah, and it takes a while, and then it makes Vanessa have a character turn where she tells Josh, fuck with your own life all you want, but if you bring Abby here again, I'll shoot you.
Yeah. God damn it,
okay,
Mike.
it was nice talking to you too. Goodbye. Yep. So yeah, basically, to your point, they took the teeth out of it by adding the kitty aspect. They made it safe. They made it safe for this little girl, so that all the kids that you want to take to see the movie also feel safe.
Yeah, they almost did the same thing with like Megan and there's another. It's another studio, but the no, it's just Megan. I want to say.
Did they do that with Megan?
Yeah, Megan was surprisingly tame as well, but that was an enjoyable flick too. It just felt like a Chucky movie is what it did, but better than the remake of the Chucky movie.
Yeah, that was just a bad retelling of Frankenstein.
Yeah. But, if we had the aspects of, say, like Willy's Wonderland, we're going to bring it up. That or the Banana Splits movie where things are a bit gorier, a little more horror. And I don't mean we need to see like arms being dismembered. I mean, that'd be kind of rad. But I think all of us adult horror fans would agree we wanted a little more of that in this movie. We weren't ever really going to get that. This is Universal Studios and they're pushing for a more mainstream audience. I get it. But it did feel like they could have tried to push the limits a little bit more. Didn't need to be a full R-rated movie, but we could have had a little bit more on the fun kill side.
Yeah, kinda, or at least more of them have a higher body count. There is a moment where there is a body count, like this crew, these group of characters are solely here to be killed, where they break in to make a mess so Mike looks bad and gets fired.
Yep.
They can't survive. So
no, and they did not.
Yeah, and they did not. And you have fun watching them get killed until you see the ghost, or the little ghost boy, and he's running around, and I'm like, okay. And then the hand comes out and grabs the face out of the mouth. And I'm like, oh, now I don't feel the fear of the robot anymore. Now I'm kind of like, okay, there's demons and shit okay. It was very conflicting.
Yeah.
I felt removed from the tension at that point, just like I was removed from the tension from the point where their eyes turn white and they're all singing, 80s music.
And being friendly and loving. And then, oh no, we need to kill people. Red eyes. Bling.
Bling. So, but for me, like, most importantly is the bad is the way they took the teeth out of it is they added kids. And then when they did that, they added more kids. And I didn't like how they made human representations of the robots. And I don't know, is that something that they do in the video games?
That I don't even remember.
I don't know, because this kid that's the one that's always talking and stuff, that's making the deal with Mike, that's Foxy. That's not Freddy at all.
Right.
Like, the only person we seen being fitted for a Freddy suit was the security guard at the beginning of the movie.
Correct.
So, like, for this being about Freddy, it's mainly Foxy being the bad guy. Well, it's not even the bad guy, of course. Their spirits need to go free.
Yeah, I just felt a little convoluted a little bit. And I wouldn't say I hated that. I just felt like, wait, what are we doing here?
Kinda. Like I needed these to be walking animatronics that were out of control. That's
Yep.
all they needed to be. Like Chopping Mall 50 or 40 years later, you know?
RoboCop 2. No, wait.
The interesting one.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh god, that's gonna 0-point me. I saw a replica of the RoboCop 2 that shot itself and it
Oh,
made
God.
me laugh. I wanted to buy it. I was like, no. I'm already getting divorced. Let's no. The voice said,
Gotta
so what
save
else
some
is
money
gonna happen?
somewhere.
Yeah, right. What's the worst that's gonna happen? You're already getting divorced. Anyway. Yeah. So for those that didn't know, I like the RoboCop 2 prototype that shoots itself. It makes me laugh. It always has.
Doesn't it rip its helmet off first and then do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's
been a while since I've
and
seen
it
that movie too.
screams.
Actually, I think the last time I watched that movie was when we were doing the review for it last year.
Probably. I'm probably the same way. Like, and that's why the Suicide Cop and Psycho Gorman kills me so much. It's the same same principle.
There you go.
Sorry.
Bad. What else is there? I didn't think
So I
Josh Hutcherson was the best choice for the security guard, Mike, but he was fine. Just kind of pretty
yeah, he
standard.
wasn't. Yes, he wasn't bad, but for the price, who else could you get? I don't know. Like
Tom Welling. I'm kidding.
Don't you dare. He's a colleague. Motherfucker.
Michael Rosenbaum.
Rosie's not in trouble this week. Tom is.
I know.
I'm trying to be sensitive.
What?
to
Did
my
I
club.
be asshole this time?
Who amongst us hasn't been tore up in a I'm just saying, let the first person who hasn't been drunk in an Arby's cast the first stone. Y'all.
Well said, brother. Well said. Yeah, and for all the points that we could make, I mean, sure, the script is a bit off here and there. There's some plot holes, like, hey, what happened to the aunt? Yes, you could say that they're leaving that open for like the sequels, but could have had something a little more finite. You could have had something throwaway at the end, being like, and the body of, the aunt was found here, and poor, and the
Split open.
yeah, and that would have been, nice, and a little more explanation on like Mike's relationship with like his brother before he got kidnapped, with his parents. All we had were the visions that just kind of alluded to a thing or two, but half of them were twisted most of the time. So you really didn't get a good feel for his background. So when you're looking at trying to give us a character we can relate to and root for, that really wasn't there for him. So with a couple of those things here and there sprinkled in the movie, just felt like it was a little lacking, so to speak, but it didn't really hurt my enjoyment of the movie. So my big thing is that I wanted something a bit scarier and a little more bloody, a little, I'm going to say it, a little more Willy's Wonderland, but with the Five Nights at Freddy's like full story and script. And I think that would have made this even better as a movie. I think it would have done a lot better financially than it did. And it did just fine financially. We're getting a sequel in December this year. Amy and I are going to be going to see it. Pretty sure about that. That's going to be our December movie. So pretty excited to see it, and I think that's about what I had for the bad. You had anything else, Kevin?
Yeah, what was it? There was something.
Oh, they could have had a little bit more of a soundtrack, but they probably were limited on funds for that.
Yeah, there's that. Again, they didn't want to play Amazing Grace, but you can only play so many fucking licensed songs. You got to pay them royalties.
Thought they would have played Material Girl. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Another Madonna song. I'm kidding.
I like Madonna. Kiss my butt.
No, and I like her too. Well, I like old Madonna, not new Madonna.
Yes, correct. So, no, I don't think I have anything else for the bad.
Well then, Kevin, why don't we go ahead and judge this thing?
I'm not going to add this to my collection. Not anytime soon.
Fair.
If I see it, I guess I'll pick it up on sale one day.
But, it's Universal Studios. It'll be on sale one day.
Yeah. And I'm sure even Shout will have a distribution of this for them. That'll look really nice. And that's the thing about this movie is it looks really nice.
Oh yeah.
The quality of the picture, the story quality does not keep up. This is like 25 minutes longer than Willy's Wonderland, and it's not nearly as exciting as Willy's Wonderland. More people die in this movie than in Willy's Wonderland, and it's not as exciting as Willy's Wonderland.
Really?
That's my big issue with this. Yes.
I should have looked at body counts for the two.
The last thing I had for the bad, is there's not enough of Matt Lillard in this. He's in it just enough, but maybe 3 times would have been fine, beginning, middle, and end, because you forget.
He is signed for the sequels.
Yes, yeah, he confirmed he's signed for 3 pictures.
Yep.
But golly, he's not in this picture enough. Like, you forget about him, and you're supposed to. But he should have been that voice that calls each different day. You know what I'm saying? Because in the video game, he gets a call from the supervisor each day. Hey, just wanted to make sure you're doing a good job. Most people don't make it this long. Not implying that they die. They just, move on to other things. Because, that would be
so
scary.
To speak.
Yeah. That I think would have been better to see, but I like him, and he was the best part of this. So I would have liked to have seen more of him. Also, it had very little to do with Freddy Fazbear, like I said. So
something lost in translation from the games and the books to this, because even before we were having dinner tonight, I was asking Amy like what she thought. Like, do you think this did good with the books and everything? And she's like, well, there's a lot more to it, and they're starting to kind of mix and match a couple of things from the books, but it's also from different perspectives a couple times. And basically, Matthew Lillard's character is very different, very, very different. And so it's like, man, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what's going on. But to have its own kind of separate universe, but be in this universe, if this didn't have the involvement of Scott Cawthon, I'm sorry, he because he's the creator of the game, he's the writer of the books, almost all the books, or co-writer of most of them. Like, he's been very involved with this property, and he's been very hands-on. And if he did not think that this would be okay story-wise by comparison to everything else, he wouldn't have done it. They already threw out one script previously, so there is that to it. So maybe just we have to watch how the second one plays out before we really judge. Like, maybe these are set up as first, second, and third act for Five Nights at Freddy's.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say until we see like the second one, or at least see a trailer for the second one to see what they're even trying to do.
Well,
But
it's like you said, it's Universal. They're going to play a safe game.
yeah, that's the only. Yeah,
they're going to try to pack as many butts in the seats as possible, and that's okay. That's okay. That a horror film doesn't have to suffer necessarily because kids are able to see it.
No, When Darkness Falls, for crying out loud.
Yeah, or
PG-13 horror movie was just fucking fine.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done. People what I don't like is people that scream, "Oh, it's PG-13, it's gonna suck." No, that doesn't mean that necessarily. If the rest of the movie is good, you really don't need it. It just makes people scream, I wanted more out of this movie."
Yes.
If that's the worst that happens out of a movie, your movie actually did something pretty okay.
Well, here's another thing. PG-13. Matt Lillard is a child killer. Rated R. Matt Lillard is a child molester. Let's just go with the PG-13. Let's just,
William Afton. That's the character.
Well, yeah. That was, and unfortunately, that's how they cast him, or that's how IMDb listed him, and that's how everyone knew he was going to be the bad guy, long before the movie came out. And you're just kind of like,
Yellow Rabbit. Yeah. But what would you score this thing?
Golly, I
and you could be honest. People want us to be honest, Kevin.
I would have said a 4. I would have said a 4. Walking into this review, I said a 4. But just after talking to you about it and the things that are good about it, the pacing, albeit way too long, does work well for it. I'd give this a 5.5 at best. But this is not going to replace Willy's Wonderland for me. Like, this has like 10 times the budget, but like 1/10 of the heart that Willy's Wonderland had. It just it missed that thrill.
Yeah, part of what I think, and I'll roll it right into my final assessment here, is part of the problem is this Willy's Wonderland beat this movie to basically the whole marketplace by years. Like, it wasn't even freaking close.
Yeah.
There was a chance years ago, like, people wanted to see a movie of this, and then we never got it. Willy's Wonderland comes out. Hey, that's fucking Five Nights at Freddy's. Where's that at? Year goes by. You finally start to see some movement again, and then it comes out basically 2 years ago. And when did Willy's Wonderland come out? Do you remember, Kevin?
2021.
2021. So by a couple of years, and then 2 years before that, 2019 was the Banana Splits movie. So you already have 2 movies that basically do what Five Nights did in video game form. They're just done a little bit differently. They definitely have different stories involved, but they all kind of keep, the killer machine puppets alive.
Yes.
And so there's that. And it wets the whistle, and then you're ready for, all right, we're going to get the big budget. We're going to get Five Nights. And then you see this, and it might be like, that's not exactly what I was hoping for here. So that being said, like, if this had come out before those 2, like, I think it was what I got it on another screen over here.
It probably would have been
2015.
Well,
if they had Warner Brothers had been off their ass and actually put this movie out by 2017, I guarantee you people would look at this a little bit differently than, oh, hey, we wanted something more. And then Willy's Wonderland comes out afterwards. People would be like, okay,
that was dumb.
Yeah, they would say, that's kind of dumb. You're just ripping it off. But there would also be, hey, it had Nicolas Cage in it. It also had some really awesome kills. Then it almost kind of plays the role of, we got a Halloween and a Friday the 13th. Two very similar movies, different stories, different characters. They could be the competition to drive each other to become a better movie and a better franchise. Unfortunately, with Willy's Wonderland, we will never get a goddamn sequel because of the studio that owns rights to it is a giant fuckwad. And they can't control their goddamn money. They're going bankrupt. If they sell the rights off, that'd be great. We'll see. Don't know. I doubt Nicolas Cage comes back.
Universal could, if they wanted to, purchase the rest of the rights to Willy's Wonderland. They do not have the full rights. They only had distribution rights, I think.
Correct.
So not even the creators of Willy's has creative control of that. Chicken Soup for the Soul Media does.
Yep.
And those are the people that owned Redbox, and they're all a shit show right now. So Jeff's right. It will be a cold day in hell before we see Willy's Wonderland 2 come out. Like, it's a perfect movie for what it is. It was made intentionally for what it is. And it was pretty great. It didn't take itself too seriously at all. It didn't spend money where it didn't need to. It did only what it needed to. And it succeeded very, very well. This succeeded in a lot of ways, but it didn't have the complete success or quality, I don't think, that Willy's had.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument there between that. I do feel like there was a lot of well intentions with this movie. Like the whole creative staff and Henson Animatronics, the whole crew that put this movie together, you could tell they put a lot of heart and soul into this. So there is a degree of that in this movie behind the screen, and that reflects on screen. Looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's well shot. It's decently directed. It's very well edited, in my opinion. And while we disagree on runtimes, I think the runtime is very good. Where I think it tends to fall short is it doesn't live up to the expectations people had. I didn't really have expectations beyond I wanted a little more on the body count side. I wanted a little more blood. Yeah. And if we had a true unrated cut and they just cut that stuff out just for theatrical, and then you get to home video and then you get the full, like, totally unrated cut with like 10 more minutes of blood, guts, and destruction, that would be okay too. We didn't really get that. Their unrated cut is basically a couple extra seconds of this, that, and the other. There's not much more added to it, but I would argue repeated viewings do help with this movie, especially if you're not as familiar with the story and the books like I was. I did enjoy the story. It was a bit confusing though at times. So as well-intentioned as the script was, I think it needed another pass through. And I think that would have helped overall. And then there's maybe a couple casting choices that were kind of, but they also had a nice cameo with Matt Pat in there. He played like the waiter at the bar. And I did enjoy the nervous attorney for the aunt who just was like, I shouldn't be here. I should be listening. So there is some really good comedic moments in this, and it is very enjoyable. I think I'm going to rate this a bit higher than you. I'm going to give this about a 7. I do very much like this movie. I wish I could love this movie though. I want to see this fulfill its promise, and who knows, maybe in the second one they're going to ramp it up a little bit more, if they want, make a dedicated R-rated cut and then just also make a PG-13 cut at the same time. You appease everybody by doing something like that. You can get your audience into PG-13, and then at home video, whatever, you can shoo it on out to the R-rated nuts like us.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go 7. Very enjoyable movie. Repeated viewings do help.
I dig that. I will try it again. Because again, I like Matt Lillard. I'll watch anything he's in. I've seen 13 Ghosts more times than I care to admit.
Oh, I forgot he was in that one.
So good.
13 Ghosts is a rad movie. Oh God, I think Universal's trying to reboot that one too.
Again?
Yeah.
They haven't done a bad one yet, so all right.
Yeah, that's true. And one other thing about this is Blumhouse. When they're not working with existing IPs, like legacy IPs like Halloween and Exorcist, and they're doing more original fare like this and Megan, they should stick to this. They should stay away from legacy IPs. They can stop doing Exorcist Believer because that totally fucking sucked. And they ruined Halloween with the last one with Ends. I know Kevin's more like, with all three of them were shit. I was fine with the first one. I really like Kills, except for I have some serious issues with it. Ends was just complete fucking trash. And David Gordon Green, stay the fuck away from Halloween, you bastard.
Kills was cool.
I love the opening, dude. Is whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, it got stupid at the end, but yeah.
Yeah, very stupid at the end. But the ending for this actually wasn't terribly stupid. I know, one more point, everybody. But, having some of the puppets jump in the taxi again, and then, Afton's character, just twitching in the office, wondering if he's still alive or dead. I mean, we know we're getting a sequel and he's coming back again, but in what shape or form will he be in?
Yeah, like, will he be stuck in the suit? Of course he will be.
Will my only lament, will he be a ghoul? What will he be? Well, you will see.
My true lament is no one ripped that fucking helmet off him going, now let's see who you really are.
I'll get you. And you darn kids and your dog too. Well, Kevin, you got any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Only this. They had so much extra money when Willie did this in a cave. Otherwise, no.
You could bring that back up. Oh my God.
Made this movie in a cave.
Freaking Iron Man.
I'm sorry. I love Willy's Wonderland. I will die on that mountain.
I like that movie. I like that goddamn movie. Wait, do I even have that on? I need to check my collection for that one. But I have this in my collection. If you're interested, you can go watch this on any number of services. It's on Peacock. I'm pretty sure you can watch it off of Prime too. But if you go to groove.com, they sell like the Blu-rays and the 4Ks there. Amazon, there's plenty of places to go to check that out if you're interested. So please check out those links. They are not in the description yet, but I will add them down below. We do have the Amazon affiliate program, so if you do click on that link down below and you purchase this movie, it kicks a cent or two our way. It's not much, but it's out there for you. That being said, make sure you hit the like button on the way out, everybody. And when you subscribe to our channel down below, make sure you hit the little bell notification so you can stay tuned to all of our video content. And hey, put a comment down below. We'd love to read them and we'll interact. Did we miss a point? Or is there something you would like to share about your memory of Five Nights at Freddy's or the sequel coming up? So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, boys and girls.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria.